What would be the 3 questions that someone should ask their physical therapist at their very first visit?
Question number one would be, what's your experience treating whatever you perceive yourself to have? Two, what is your approach for treating back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain? And then three, honestly, what proof can you show me that you have success in treating it? A lot of I want to see a few reviews of someone who's recently gone through your program, not someone you saw 20 years ago that's your barber.
Welcome back to the Primal Reset Podcast. Today, we're joined by Todd Ball, the founder of Physical Therapy on Demand and the creator of the Healthy Posture System. With over 25 years of experience in outpatient physical therapy, Todd has helped pioneer a telehealth first approach to posture correction and regenerative prehab that's now trusted by top clinics like the Centennial Schultz Clinic and many others. Todd, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Elliot. I'm excited to talk to you.
So walk me through, you started as a brick and mortar and then kind of transformed into a telehealth. What got you to do that? And what are the benefits that you've seen from being a telehealth platform now?
Absolutely. So as a brick and mortar, I did what most outpatient PT clinics did. I saw backs, necks, knees, and shoulders, and I combined manual therapy with movement education. And I learned how to I got certified in Polestar Pilates through Polestar and the Rehab Pilates series. And that taught me how to add Pilates classes to my treatment model, which actually really convinced me that the problem wasn't the patient's L5 being out of alignment. The problem was the patient did not know how to not load their L5 in a way to do it out of alignment. So whenever a patient came and had back pain, and I did the manual therapy to get it back in alignment, educating them how to sit and stand, and ran them through a 6 or 8 week post PT program, they actually got on top of their back pain. Those that did not have that broader scope of care kept seeing me over and over with re-aggravation of their back pain. So that made me really realize I have to treat the foundation of the problem if I'm going to stay in this game long term, feel good about it. Then we had an opportunity to contract with the Denver Fire Department, and they challenged me to create videos for my post-discharge programs. They didn't have room for Allegros or a budget for it, so I just took what I was doing on the Allegro. There was mat exercises that correlate to that. And their biggest problem was they were injuring themselves, going to an Ahmed center that was treating the symptoms, the pain symptoms, but not really educating them on how to create a healing environment, depending on the severity of the injury, and then scale back on fitness. So these firefighters were going from the Ahmed clinic to the firehouse doing CrossFit-ish. And so it was pretty obvious what the problem was. And so the videos, allowed me to create a bridge between what the Ahmed Center was doing, what that person would be willing to do for 4 to 6 weeks, and scale back on cross training, and then get back into cross training with a lot more tools than they have pre-injury. So that really got us really confident in seeing a video on demand subscription being a vital part of an outpatient physical therapy practice. But at that time, we had no visions or experience telemedicine wise. At the Centennial Schultz Clinic, one of their physicians went through my program and really felt like it changed the way he did his workouts. And he thought it would really be great for his clients to do before they did very expensive regenerative medicine procedures for the cervical spine. And so our videos were not quality enough to represent that population adequately, but we took on the challenge. We stumbled out the gates. I realized I had to create 3 more sub-levels to my video on demand library, which had 6, to accommodate this population. And then subsequently another 3 sets of levels of onboarding videos. And the process of doing that was all pre-COVID. And so when COVID hit, I just converted all my in-clinic clients for 9 months into virtual and converted about half, who am I kidding, about a third. And they're like, oh, this is better than anything we did in the clinic. The other 2/3 really just wanted to come and have someone fix them. And we had great relationships. So when we opened the clinic, we still saw them. But when the lease expired, we're like, there's no way I'm running a clinic for back pain and neck pain and put my hands on people. I mean, I have amazing manual therapy skills. I work really hard at it, but that's not what they needed. They needed to stop sitting collapse and get back into a fitness program and learn how to do fitness with their skull on top of them, the pelvis underneath. So that's kind of a quick, synopsis of how we got here. And now that we're here, we're doing things telemedicine wise through education that I could never do in a brick and mortar. Specifically, I'm watching you do your workout program in your home. I'm watching the things you're doing that make no sense that I never would have known if I didn't connect you to a telemedicine clinic. What I think you understood and what you understood, there's a huge gap there. I get to see you at your workspace. I get to see that you have a notebook on a countertop and your shoulder blades are elevated for 3 hours a day. And then how that is not really what we meant when we said, let's sit more upright. So just what gets lost in translation, you really get to uncover and peel away through telemedicine. And also I get to see how you sleep. I get to see how you're relaxing and give you better strategies for that. So now we're really all in on creating a branding and a national product around telemedicine, PT on demand, powered by the Healthy Posture System. Healthy Posture System is all my video.
Awesome. I mean, to have that reach and that knowledge of how someone's lifestyle actually is, rather than going into a physical brick and mortar and saying, "Hey, fix me." You can really dive in deeper into that root cause of what are you doing every single day and how can we implement something to get rid of that neck pain or that back pain by changing certain parts of their lifestyle. And then it ends up becoming a habit for them as well. So my question would be like, what's the biggest barrier to a daily exercise? Like, what's the one thing that holds people back and how are you able to coach them through it?
Well, I mean, I think you got to talk about the type of population you're working with from an injury management perspective. If someone's got pain and they have not been successful getting control of that pain, and that pain is following what a traditional musculoskeletal pain condition is going to follow in our medical system, which is it's going to get worse until you need to do something dramatic. That population is very receptive to a completely different approach, which we offer. But like any product, you got to deliver within 2 weeks. They have to be experiencing something different. Otherwise, I don't get the buy-in going forward. So it's all about buy-in. Anyone with a medical license and opening and running a cash-based practice, I'm no different than any other service-oriented profession. I got to get results, and I got to continue to move the patient towards where I said they were going to go. So you better have put a lot of thought into the system you're using and have good video resources and a platform that's distributing it that's in a way that's user friendly. It's very complicated to take a patient and get them to do what you want to do and then have them stay compliant with it if you don't have a system that actually has a proven result. So I think ultimately when it's all said and done, the 8 years we put into the video development really allowed us to have a very solid program. And I know if I can get you to do X, Y, and Z week 3, week 5, you're going to do, the next level of that variation of exercises. And I know what that will mean in terms of how you can now change your lifestyle modification. A lot of practitioners tell you what you should do, but don't create a bridge to how to get there. If you come into a practitioner's clinic and you're sitting like this, you can't tell that person, well, you got to sit upright. A person doesn't know how to stack up their back, let alone sit upright. We really became masters at what is this pathway what are all the bridges we need to create for them to get there? And then how do we cut videos so that they do the last 4 repetitions of every exercise properly so that we actually get the change? And I'm working my butt off every telemedicine session, making sure they get the message at that point that should be received, whether it be early on, how important it is to keep your chest lifted, or later on, where if you don't feel your core when you're doing a functional fitness exercise, you're not in neutral. And how much I challenge and put responsibility into progresses as they start to have more tools to work with. So you got to work real hard at it on the front end to create a system that works, or partner with someone else that has it. And then you got to have a lot of passion, session by session by session, to keep the person motivated. And then it becomes easy. The easiest part of my day is to work with my maintenance clients, because I just sit back here and crack jokes mostly, and they're out there doing one heck of a workout. But I'm catching some stuff here and there. But at that moment in time, we now have a lifetime longevity fitness relationship that we bring down that's cost effective. So they know if something goes wrong during that phase, within 48, 72 hours, we're going to get them back on track so that little ache and pain or that setback doesn't stretch out for weeks and bring them back into the traditional medical.
So, there's so much information that we could kind of unpack here. What's the biggest benefit of fixing someone's posture, just having a good posture for yourself?
So great question. The biggest benefit is long-term injury prevention. Meaning, if I can condition myself to function with my T2 and T3 segments stacked and my skull on top of me, I take away what causes most neck stiffness, which is tightness on one side because of a slight displacement of the skull and a little rotation. So by conditioning myself for that, hop 5 or 6 steps ahead of where I'm ever going to be vulnerable for a serious injury. Now, that's not to say if you improve your posture, you're not going to have a serious injury. Those are called accidents. But if you don't improve your posture, there's a high probability you're going to have a musculoskeletal condition turn into a serious life-altering event because it just, at a certain point, the dam breaks. And so that's the biggest value, is doing the work, taking 6 or 8 weeks to improve your posture and get back into a functional program, a functional fitness program that makes sense, and then building your other stuff around it will reduce the amount of risk you have forever overloading a joint in your body to the point where you got to enter the traditional medical model.
What's the biggest myth that you can debunk right now?
The biggest myth is, well, as it relates to posture, the biggest myth is you can improve your posture with an exercise or a stretch or two. To improve your posture, you have to restore access to neutral spinal alignment. That takes a few weeks. Then you have to condition yourself to move from neutral spinal alignment. You have to start sitting 31 minutes of every hour stacked versus collapsed. Then and only then does it make sense to add resistance onto it. So the biggest myth is you improve posture with a sheet of paper with some bullets on it or a few stretches or exercise. Especially today's younger population, they spent their whole life collapsed. And so what I can do with a 50 or 60-year-old who's only got 20 years collapsed is a lot quicker than I can actually do with a 30-year-old who's been collapsed their whole life. So there's this whole, merging of how technology has changed the way we spend our 8-hour day, and a population that is younger but more unhealthy than an older population who might have smoked or drank too much, but they at least kept their body mobile and more functional throughout their 8-hour day for 40 or 50 years. So that's what's fascinating to me as a scientist is what's coming down the pike. That's one of the reasons I spend so much time on the model. I just think it's, in all honesty, it's a really good use of my time. I think what I'm doing here is really we're where the puck is heading, and we're sitting there just refining our tools. And as the technology advances, what was out of my grasp a month ago, now it's very accessible to me. Motion capture, it was out of my budget a month ago. Now I've got some partnerships where, now I have motion capture. So who knows what's going to happen in 6 months? Well, but, the competition isn't where I'm at in terms of having 8 years of thinking about this stuff. So, and it's not like I want to dominate the market or I'm in this for greed. Whatever I do, I want to be a blueprint for the next generation of practitioners to merge and partner, because no practitioner out there has all the tools, but some patients do need manual for a period of recovery. Some patients do need manual on a maintenance basis. Some patients need acupuncture. It's definitely an accent to care for some clients, but every patient needs to have the ability to have access to education to improve their posture and a safe program that conditions function.
So many different kind of solutions there are out there, and everyone claiming there's the best, this is the fix. And we need to kind of recognize that there's multiple fixes. And if we can all work together to achieve the same thing for the same person, I think that's what a future could look like, and hopefully will look like at the same time. We've seen so many companies spend millions of dollars on products and marketing for their solution of helping the spine, helping neck pain. And we see all these mattresses, pillows, standing desks. What's your opinion about all of that?
How you sit and how you stand is done. best place to put your energy. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on all those other products. I'm sure there's a place for them. Anything that can help you stay in neutral spine alignment should be researched and explored on your behalf. But if you're sitting collapsed all day, don't buy any of it because it is not going to help. Learning how to stack your upper back, put your skull on top of you, and then when you stand up, your pelvis underneath you restores alignment of all the vertebrae in a way where they're all involved in force transfer and motion. That's how we're designed to function. So that is what I would say. And obviously I've got my one narrow way of looking at it, but I've got also 12 years of treating it with this narrow focus. And I'm doing things I didn't think were possible in outpatient. So that's what I would say. Before you do and spend a lot of money on those things, learn how to get into healthy posture. And if along the way of improving your posture, you need help staying in healthy posture, have somebody that's knowledgeable help you figure out which one of all those options might make sense for you. But the goal is to spend 31 minutes of every hour stacked versus collapsed. And then and only then does your nervous system rewire itself.
So if you had to tell me one or the other, would you prefer standing desks or sitting in a chair?
Believe it or not, it kind of depends on your body style, your fitness level. Some people have really developed legs, so standing desk makes a lot of sense. Some people don't have really developed legs. If a standing desk doesn't make a lot of sense. What I do suggest is if you're gonna sit with a stool that allows you to almost stand and raise your monitor 4 inches above your eye level, so you're forced to keep your chest lifted, so that you can't collapse and go into forward head posture and use your eye gaze to adjust. So there's a lot of things that are myths, going back to your previous question. One of the myths is the ADA says your monitor should be at that eye level. Well, that's not true. If all the research we had was based on health and posture, we would be realizing that raising it 4 inches or 6 inches above eye level forces you to keep your chest lifted, which means you can keep your skull in neutral. Eye level allows you to still slump sit and use your eye gaze. And that looks like this. I have the weight of my skull on C5, C6. So that's what I would say would be the best return on your investment, is to sit with a very tall saddle stool with a monitor raised. And then probably it's going to require that you get a high-low table to adjust for all that. So then spend some of the time in a standing posture with a slight lunge so that you're symmetrical left and right. Because very few people can stand like this without doing this. This is worse than this. So I could talk about this stuff all day long because I create videos for all these things, but that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. If you're gonna choose between the two, I would phase into a standing desk. And the process of doing that would require a high-low table where you could do both. Get a saddle stool so you're almost standing. And look how much taller I am not when I stand up. What, 3 inches? So it's not much of a difference. So that's what I would say. It's condition yourself to sit tall in an elevated chair, raising your monitor, and probably requires you to buy a high-low table to adjust for all that, and then do both.
I love it. I love it. Have your computer, or your desktop, or your monitor, whatever it is you're looking at, as a corporate worker, higher so that you can focus on bringing that chest up and actually not slouching the entire day. And I think that's where we see a lot of these corporate employees have these back problems with sitting down at a desk that's eye level or even sometimes a little bit below, and you're just hunched over, you're on your phone the whole day, and you're just sitting there like, my neck hurts and my back hurts and I don't know why. What would be the 3 questions that someone should ask their physical therapist at their very first visit?
You're a good question asker. Question number 1 would be, what's your experience treating whatever you perceive yourself to have? Back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. 2, what is your approach for treating back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain? And then 3, honestly, what proof can you show me that you have success in treating it? I want to see a few reviews of someone who's recently gone through your program, not someone you saw 20 years ago that's your barber. Someone that's gone through the program the last few months. And, because any practitioner that's worth their weight in gold should be learning every few months, every few years, and modifying that program. So those are the questions. What's your experience here? What's your track record? Can you show me some proof?
I love it. What's the first step that someone can take today to fixing their posture?
Learn how to stack your upper back. T2, these final segments right here and the ribs that attach to them do not know how to stack on most people. So the first 2 weeks of my program, I'm giving you a mobility program for this part of your body. And I get 5 check downs for it, depending on how stiff you are. So the first thing I would do is I would go to our YouTube channel, which doesn't have much information, but it has how to stack your upper back for principles of spinal alignment and healthy sitting posture. Those videos are available. Watch them. Try and do what I asked you to do. Do it either while you're videotaping yourself or do it in front of a mirror. You're probably going to do what I asked you to do wrong. You're probably going to do this. What I'm going to ask you to do is this. What you're going to do is this. These segments don't move. So, and I'm laughing because it's such a simple approach we have, but everyone's trying to put crap on top of crap, and you can't. You have to restore mobility in segments that don't stack, then build on top of that. So I hate to be self-promoting, but I know that my videos are going to teach you a safe way to get started, and you're not going to do them right. And the reason you're not going to do them right is because you need a little bit more specific techniques to get these segments mobile.
So where can people find more information, and if they're really looking to cure their back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, correct their posture in any sort of way, free or not free videos, where can people find more information about what you do?
Well, I don't think you cure back pain or neck pain. I think ultimately you condition yourself to stop loading your neck and back asymmetrically and stop the pattern of throwing vertebrae out and trying to strengthen the top of that. You reverse engineer the process and learn how to organize yourself and then add strengthening on top of better organization. Where you can get started there is and I am stuck in my laboratory. I'm sure there's 5 or 10 people out there that are just as sophisticated, if not more sophisticated than me in this area. I still know who they are, and I just don't have time to find out. But I do know you can go put in physical therapy on demand on YouTube. You'll get our 6 little principle videos. You could go to physicaltherapyondemand.com and purchase a $50 posture screen, and I can see where you're starting. We're launching a new website, PT On Demand. It's a direct-to-consumer product where I give you access to the first 3 months of my program for $16.99 a month. You then have to purchase some coaching to do level 4 because level 4 is fitness. Level 1 through 3 is restoring access to neutral. If you do it wrong, you're not going to hurt yourself. Level 4, if you do it wrong, you're going to reinforce faulty loading. You're going to be no different than anyone else out there. We'll teach you how to put crap on top of crap. So that's our new website. And the idea there is to bring the cost down so that we can test the boundaries on how successful we get when we don't do 2 coaching sessions a week with a very skilled practitioner. You know, how well do our videos hold up when they don't have that pairing? So we're excited to see where that goes and what comes out of that. But that's where I know you can go get safe information. And that's no disrespect to probably, I don't think a lot, but at least 5 or 10 other practitioners that I've heard about. I went and saw their stuff. I'm like, oh, these guys are getting it. That gal gets it. That guy gets it. I just didn't create any way of connecting to them as I probably should have. But if you're not sure that this is the right fit for you, someone needs to know neutral spinal alignment and talk to you about it and answer questions about it in a way that gains your confidence. And there's absolutely no way to help you treat the foundation of your neck pain and back pain if you have collapsed posture. That's an absolute truth. You're just going to stay in the medical model until somebody comes down the pike that tells you something you don't want to hear, and eventually you do.
So for everyone out there who is looking for more information, these links will be in the below description. Go check Todd out. Go check out Physical Therapy on Demand. If you're there by the time they have their new website, go check them out. Go check them out on YouTube. Learn a little bit more on how to correct your posture. It'll definitely help if you're a gym goer, if you're the casual person sitting on a couch every single day, or if you're a corporate employee sitting in a chair every day. Learn a little bit. Go reach out to Todd. See if he can help fix your posture and live a better life. Todd, it was a pleasure having you on the show today. We'll definitely have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely, Elaine. Thanks for letting me have the platform to share the word.